tell, do you have any funny stories from growing up, from your mom and dad?
Well, you said you wanted me to repeat everything.
Do what?
You wanted me to repeat everything that I said before.
Oh, I was just kinda kidding, put some funny
Okay.
stories would be
I
good.
would say, if you want to repeat any of that, tell me, give me a.
Oh, wild tales about growing up in this house with
Yeah.
your brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That crazy
dark
Bob.
tag.
Yeah.
What, dark tag?
Dark tag?
Yeah.
I remember that. You
Would
can
Oh,
hear
you
it.
don't know about dark tag?
Oh, God.
Could you imagine our mother allowed us?
D-A-R-K or dark?
Dark.
Oh,
Dark.
yeah, dark.
As in-
Dark.
As in
D-A-R-K.
turn off the lights.
Pardon?
Okay, here's dark tag.
Dark
Okay.
tag.
Played in this very room.
I'm sorry, we don't.
You, all over this place, all over this very house.
Do you remember how to get through there, Louis?
Pardon?
I'll take it.
You tried to find a bathroom?
No, he's gonna get
No.
some in the other car, but he can't remember.
This
how to get
happened
there.
when I was in college and my brothers were in high school, so we were not little kids when we were doing this. My brothers would call in their friends, I call in my friends from McHenry that were staying on campus and needed a break from campus life. So we'd all get together for one evening and we would totally darken the house. We would shut all the lights off.
Was your mom here, or would she be out?
Mom was here, living in it,
Wow.
but when this would happen, we'd get her to go over to the neighbors.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
Get her out of the house.
Get her out.
Get her out, yeah.
Yeah, because she didn't play dark tag.
No.
And she would die if she knew what went on.
Okay, that's what I wondered. Did she know what was going on over here?
Kind of, sort of, but not really.
She didn't want to
Didn't
know.
want to know, yeah.
Kind of, sort of, but not really. And so we would darken all the rooms, and then if light was shining through, because of the streetlights or anything, we'd get blankets and throw them up down the windows too, because it had to be pitch black. We would pick one person to be the it guy,
Tag.
and that person would be the it guy, and the rest of us would go hide. Anywhere in the house was fine, except mom's bedroom. We took all the breakables, put them in mom's bedroom, shut the door.
Cause she had a lot of
Hey, we did have,
breakables.
yeah, and I didn't want
breakables.
mom's bedroom screwed up either.
Yeah.
No.
You know, so we would shut that room off, and then the rest of the house was full force, do it to it. So, and the deal was, you had to find your hiding place, and you could move around and find a different hiding place, but you had to avoid the guy that was it. And the object was, the guy that was it had to go find somebody else to be it. And then when that would happen, that happened very quietly. So after a while, you didn't know who was where, you didn't know who was it,
Really?
who was creeping around finding people. And of course, the it guy's creeping around as quiet as he can be, so he won't get figured out, but he's right on somebody.
So you don't say anything, you tap him on the shoulder,
Oh.
what do you do?
Tap on the shoulder and no talking. Absolutely
Absolute
no
quiet.
talking.
Wow.
Was there alcohol
I didn't know
involved?
that.
No,
No.
no, at that
That would change
time,
the complexion of the game.
What'd you say, Reed?
Was there alcohol involved?
Oh, it wouldn't be quiet.
No.
I'd be all stolen.
It would be funny though.
So what were some of the creative hiding places? That was the thing.
Well, at one point, we played a game, and all of a sudden, the guy who was it couldn't find anybody. And he said, I can't find anybody. So he starts walking through the house flipping lights on, because he couldn't figure out where we all were. Well, I was standing on the end of our bathtub. As it turns out, I knew there was other people in there, but I didn't know where and who exactly. Now, if you've seen that bathroom, you know it's not giant. And so he got to our room, flipped the light on. There's one person down in the tub all balled up. There's one person standing on the other end of the tub all balled up. I'm standing on one end of the tub, so there's 3 people involved
Right
in
there.
the tub. Then there was a guy standing right inside the door, all there. How was it? Because there was 5 of us in there.
It's like clowns in them.
Oh, at that time I didn't have the cabinet, it was just an open sink, and somebody was crouched under the sink. He flipped on the light, and we all went, ah! You know, because we all had no idea we were all each other in there. Had no idea there was 5 people in that little tiny bathroom. And it was just, we just had a laugh for a long time over that. So, yeah, that was our one good story from Dark Tank. But it was fun and entertained us when nobody was getting in any trouble, so we all did.
One of the reunions, didn't one of the big Newell kids tell about something like that?
Yes,
With
yes,
dark tag, that
yeah.
maybe passed down from generation. Uncle Tom or Aunt Mark, I
Yes,
think they
yes.
did that at the big house.
They did, not quite our way, but yes, they did.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
that
because
rings
Mom
a
would
bell.
talk about it,
Okay.
yes.
So she must have told you
That
about
was,
it.
that was not a tradition that our mother passed on.
No, we never heard about it. Can you imagine that going on?
No.
Oof.
Yeah, well, you know, Mom always said, we live in this house and we've gotta be kids. I mean, that's why they wanted us raised in the country, so we could be kids. And we
Yeah.
definitely were, because we did all the softball games in the yards. In the summer, when it would get real hot under our pecan tree, we had a big picnic table. So Mom and Dad got us a bingo game. So all our friends, I go in and pop some popcorn and make up some Kool-Aid lemonade and bring it all out and set it on the table, and we get out the bingo cards and we sit and play bingo for hours on end. Now, the one year almost got us in big trouble was my dad was particular about the yard. Because he built this place, and when he first put everything together, it was all clay. And then he seeded the clay, and you guys know how clay is. I mean, it took him years to get a good grass stand here, just had a yard. And so, now this was way after that, but he was always particular about the yard. And so, we were playing bingo one afternoon, and we ran out of markers to mark our cards. Well, wouldn't it be nice, because it was getting towards the end of the year, the field over there had field corn in it. So we just went over and shucked an ear and used kernels of corn to mark our cards. And then kids being kids, when we got done that afternoon, we just
Toss the corn.
tossed the corn into the yard. And so next spring, here's
Grow
corn
corn.
coming up in the yard. Here's field corn coming up in our yard. And Dad goes, "How in the world did that get there?"
Bingo Daddy.
Squirrels.
You know, but we all had
Squirrels.
bicycles and we all rode all over the place, and we developed a 10-mile ride with a loop of country roads out on the country roads out, and us kids would go out and just have something to do, go out and ride that 10-mile ride. And Dad also built us stilts. And
So did our
Our
dad.
dad did that too.
did your dad build stilts?
Is that the ones we have?
Yeah, you have
Well, our
one.
dad
You have a
built us
pair and I have a
stilts
pair.
too.
We still got them here.
Well, after you learn to walk on them, you gotta develop a game. So, our game was.
Dirt
we
tank
taught- we
stilts.
taught- no,
Dirt tank stills inside.
Oh, God.
That would be,
We're not that dangerous.
we're not,
We wanted to live.
yeah.
We knew better. So our game outside was to teach, first of all, teach all our neighbors' kids, or all of our friends, how to walk on stilts, so they could do it too, so we had people. So we had 2 pairs of stilts, one a little bit higher than the other.
Just like ours.
And so we developed this game. We had a lot of like playground red rubber balls, you know, that size balls. And I don't know how we got such accumulation, but we did. So the game was the 2 people walking the stilts. Their object was to stay on the stilts. Our object was to throw the balls and knock them off.
That sounds fun.
The rules were nothing above the waist. You could not hit anybody above the waist. So, but as we perfected this game through playing it, we figured out the deal is you watch for the guy who's on the stilt. You watch for him when he's in step up. When that stilt's off the ground, that's when you hit it with the ball and knock it out from under it. And that's how you get them off. So,
You're trying to hit the stilt,
the
not the
lower part-
leg or the.
Well, no,
not trying to
the
hit
lower
person.
part when the stilt's off the ground.
Okay.
That's the trick, to get them off of them real fast.
Sounds like you could break a hip.
So, we played that, kids walking stilts all over the place. We had our ball team crowd that came when we played softball games in the afternoons out in our side yard, and we really had a fun childhood. I mean, we really did.
Well, where this house is sitting now, what used to be the side yards. So
They
had
know
a
that.
whole- Oh, okay.
They know that used to be the side yard. So,
He didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
Was your
Yeah,
dad
Dad?
and mom real strict, or was Dad more strict than Mom? I'm trying to think back. We always thought Dad was more strict with us
Oh.
older 3, and the other 2 came along.
Not so much with us.
no,
Yeah, so I don't know if that changes or,
Dad was always very strict with all 4 of us.
yeah.
What year did Uncle Charlie pass?
He passed in
70.
69,
69.
yeah, May 27th, 1969.
Oh, that's when I was school, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's buried in the cemetery in Greenville off of 4th Street. You take 4th Street in Greenville, go all the way back, and it goes right into the cemetery. Then you drive their road all the way back to take the last little curvature down, and then walk to the edge of the
You know
woods.
that picture? That's mine.
There, oh, cool.
Let's see.
That's
Randy.
my,
What is it?
it's one of her Chihuly pictures in
Yes,
there.
it is.
That's my,
So,
Now, what was the most trouble you ever got into? That you
I'm gonna
could-
be really honest
that
with you
can say
guys.
on tape?
If Dad was home, it didn't take anything to fire him up. And when he was
Really?
fired up, it was awful. I'm not kidding, it was awful. He punished very roughly. And so we did our best to walk on eggs around him. Mom was much more easygoing and will let us be much more easygoing. Around Dad, we did not do much because we knew it wouldn't be good for us if it had, if he didn't like it. And so we tried hard not to do anything that he wouldn't like. So it
HOH.
was,
Do what?
I
HOH.
just happened to have that picture on.
George?
Aunt
oh,
Martin used to call Dad HOH, and he didn't like it, because he was the head of the household.
Oh, who didn't like it? Uncle Charlie?
Or
is that
Dad,
the
Oh.
reunion?
Hey,
No,
Charlie.
that was in our driveway and on Ashby.
Oh, okay.
Put that in
It's
front of
just-
the camera for a minute.
It's
Could you
just
send me?
Yeah, I can
Picture?
email it to you from here.
Could.
That's one that you guys had made from slides.
Oh, the
Oh, I
pipe.
love that
What happened to that pipe? Who knows?
And who is that other couple?
Let's see.
Which one?
Was that the Powells or who were the cousins who lived
These
in
ones on the-
O'Fallon?
No, that's Gary and Carol.
On the
Yeah.
other
The
side.
Delahays
The
lived
Delahays?
in O'Fallon.
I didn't know who that other couple was.
Right here?
These two?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Oh, hello.
gosh, hello.
Oh, yeah, well, you can blow that
Come
up
back,
nice.
come back.
Yeah, this, you know who that is, Sue? Oh, hello. These two.
I don't.
Not sure.
Nope, I don't.
I don't know.
Hmm,
Oh, heck of a deal.
yeah.
Everybody dressed up in suits, but that's just the way they dressed
That's
up.
the way it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it was a Sunday
It was a
afternoon,
Sunday,
probably.
Yeah.
Yep,
Be careful touching that screen.
I'm not.
What? Oh,
There's mom and dad.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's mom and dad. God, they
well, I
smile.
see things changing here at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Neat picture, I would love to
Okay.
have that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyhow, pretty much the sky was the limit when mom was around.
Okay, what's your email address?
VISON. at Hometel, HOMETEL,
TELE?
no,
TEL.com.
.com.
BISON at hometel.com.
That is so cool.
That's me and Jim down front.
oh my.
Those cute little kids.
I'm gonna be around longer, I want more of those, but there's no point at this point. So anyhow, that was kind of our childhood.
What
Just-
about some of the things though, after your dad passed and some of the football game parties and,
Oh,
Yeah, juicy stories.
my
Stories are
brothers
good.
played high school football, and Bill was real good at it when he was in. And Dad had passed, so then we kind of felt like we could breathe and have our friends
dad?
over and all that kind of stuff.
It's your dad.
So
That's me.
Bill always had something that he ran with, and he still does, but back then, the football game, after football games on Friday nights at Triad, home ones especially, those kids needed
That's Carol.
somewhere to go, and Mom
That's
figured
That's
out,
Gary.
she didn't want them trying to get into bars and being in the wrong places. And you know kids that age are gonna drink, so she wanted them all here, where she knew what was going on and could, do the right thing by everybody. So these guys would pile in, about 20 of them or so. Mom would go out, at that time Townsend's restaurant was still open and doing business. She'd go out there and order 40 hamburgers, or 20 fried chickens, because these are football players, they're hungry. They
20
wanna eat.
fried chickens.
I think so, 10 or 20.
For how
maybe
many
10
people?
fried chickens. Well, the football players and their friends, I mean, this house is
Okay.
Yeah.
packed to the gill
Wow.
with people. And, you know, then we'd have the beer and soda and stuff on hand. And we had some great football parties here, let me tell you. You know, the guys, of course, at that time crank up the music, crank up the stereo, and get the tunes going, and visit and unwind from the game. And then we'd watch people, and if certain ones were a little too drunk to be driving, we would drive them home, because we would want them to get home safe. And so many of the other parents appreciated that, although they never helped with the food and the beer, but Mom always did that, but that was always Mom's concern, that everybody stay safe. So we had a lot of good times there. And then,
Wasn't there an incident one time with a table? Somebody tackled it or something?
that was dark tag.
Oh,
I got you.
That was dark tag. We were playing dark tag. And one of the guys who usually doesn't play that with us came, and we knew he was a little squirrely anyway, but okay, let Rod come, we'll put up with him. And that guy, at one point, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, he comes charging down the hall and jumps on the kitchen table, smashed it to the ground,
Oh.
and we're going, oh no. Now, oh, that was, what do we do? So we all called Wayne Carson, and we had him come over and look at it, and I said, before Mom comes home, is there any way you can fix this so it stands up and it's a table again? And he says, yeah, because he's a mechanic, you always get those mechanic guys going, they can figure out anything. And so he said, yeah, and he says, we can use some different things and clamp it together and tie it together, and he said, I can get it sturdy. I said, okay, so let's do it. You know, so he got it done, and I said, by the way, don't say anything to Mom that you were over here doing this. And he's a good friend of my mom's, you know, I was like, oh shit. So he kept his word, he didn't tell Mom anything. And we kept that secret for, God, I don't know how long, it was months, or it had to be just months. So at one point, Mom wants to pull it apart and put a leaf in it.
Mom, look what you did.
Oh, go Wayne.
Oh, dear. I don't think we're doing that. So out of that, Mom bought a new kitchen table, and Rod Stanley never came to dog tag again. So that's that story.
Now, your mom was a school teacher for a
Yes.
while? And your dad, what did he?
Dad did white collar work in St. Louis. That was the reason when we moved out of 2011 Mississippi. He did not want to move to the west, even though he knew that would expand. He wanted to move to the east so he would have the sun on his back going and coming from work, and not in his eyes. So his parents, and my dad was an only child, lived in Greenville on a farm. A little more than 40 acres, but pretty close. And so Dad, since Dad was the only child, even though he didn't get along with his mom that well, he always felt obligated to be reasonably close. So he started driving out from St. Louis and looking at the little towns and figuring out where he wanted to be. At the time he was looking, St. Jacob was putting in a brand new sewer system. And this was in the late 40s, I'm thinking. Because my dad, you know, he may have had problems with his temper and with us and, you know, that stuff. My dad was an excellent planner. He was always looking ahead. He was always looking what could be for the future, what could be for our family. Money manager like you couldn't believe. I've never seen a man that could stretch $1 as far as that man could. Because during all that time they lived in St. Louis, and at that time they lived in St. Louis, they were going part-time to University of Missouri, St. Louis University, and taking classes. He would take 3 days worth, and Mom would take a different 3 days worth because I was a baby and somebody had to be home to watch me. So they were looking ahead. They saw back then that education was a thing. And they wanted, and they met at Greenville College before the war broke out. So they kind of started very, you know, not much, but they had started at Greenville College. And so they always knew education was a thing. So they were going to school while I was a baby and living in that 3-room family flat. And knew as we kept coming along, because Bill was born there and Bob was too. And they knew they couldn't stay where they were and they didn't want to be in the city. So he started driving out east and figuring out what little town that we might be interested in. When he saw St. Jacob, he liked it. At that time, I remember those days, there was not much to it. I mean, it was just, we were on the edge of town. And the big house. Thank you,
those
Mr.
days.
Zobers, yes we are, because he won't sell these fields. And so they haven't been developed. But the big house down on the end of the corner, there's a 3-story house down at the other end of the block. That was the only house on the block, and that man owned the whole block. So Dad just walked to his door, introduced himself, said what he wanted, and would Harry Raymond sell him the 3 lots on this end. And Dad had to come back to Harry 3 different times before he got Harry to say yes. But Dad would not relent, he wanted these 3 lots on this end. So after they did that, Mom and Dad in the meantime had sit down and designed, and like a draftsman, they had designed this house. It's a one-of-a-kind house because it came out of Mom and Dad's head and their vision. So, and back then, you have to remember, people were trying to find housing because it was after World War II and it was just, you know.
A boom.
Yeah, it was just a boom and it was just crazy time to find housing. And so Dad got these lots and Mom and Dad had their plans. And out of Grandpa and Grandma's woods, north of Greenville, 40 acres, they cut down oak, had the oak milled and cured it in Grandpa's running-in barn that he had on the property at that time for 2 or 3 years. I mean, they were preparing for this. It's just a matter of finding the place to do it. You know, so they got the wood cured, because with oak you have to cure it. You can't build with green oak. And so Dad and Grandpa, with their own 2 hands, built this house.
I remember the other house you lived on,
Yeah,
lived
dumb.
in here in St. Jacob.
Ugh.
Had the corner, it was like a grocery store or something,
Oh, it
because
was
they had
awful.
the corner door that,
Yeah.
Went into-
That's up across from,
Yeah, at that time, that had a flat tin
Dewey.
roof, and we lived there in 1954, which is one of the hottest summers on records. We had no air conditioning, we had to use ice blocks, fans, whatever we could do to figure out to cool ourselves with a flat tin roof.
You lived there while this was being built?
It was, while this was being built,
Yeah.
it was miserable. But they just took it because it was cheap rent to get this house built, you know, to get it done. And so, and in the meantime, Dad's working full-time during all this. And so it took them a year, but they built this house. They did everything but the wall plaster they had professionally put in and the ceiling plaster. And when they put in the floors, but they had them finished professionally. Other than that, Dad and Grandpa did everything.
Wow. And what year was that they built the home?
That was 1954 into 1955. We moved in May of 1955.
It's about the time we moved to St. Louis then, from Prairieville.
November of '56.
Was that November
Veterans Day.
56? Okay. So it was a year later, okay.
try to drive a nail in anything in this place.
This oak? Oh.
Yeah, it's iron. And Dad built it with 12-inch, you know, studs.
They're 2x12s and
2 by
12
12
centers.
and 10, yeah, 12 inch center. Yeah. And he said, when he built this house, nothing had ever knocked it down, nothing had ever hurt it. He built it at the time and materials that he had available. He built it with the best heavy-duty stuff he could and built it strong and sturdy. And let me tell you guys, when different people come in like to do flooring and stuff, like our kitchen floor and stuff, when I tell them when this house is built, they are totally amazed that the rooms are still square. And they are in this house. We are experiencing some settling in one part over there, but you know, it is what it is at this point.
Well, right, because it's got a crawl space.
And we don't have a
the
space.
The window is a little bit smaller than my
Yeah, Dave
girth.
used to be able to get under there.
I can't get underneath the house right now
So anyhow.
and what I'm thinking is block
We
this
know
stuff
that the
out.
roof needs replaced, we know the siding needs replaced. We've done the best we could with this place and we've kept the inside up. you know, reasonably nice. There just has to be some work done on the outside. You know, I just don't know how it's gonna get done at this point. It just is what it is right now. Again,
We, you know, the windows are all,
yeah, these
Anderson windows. We did what, 3 set?
We did 3 sides, we did a side a year, we couldn't afford to do them all at once, so we'd pick a side and have them come in and do it, and then next year, when we had money back together, we'd do the next side. So over 3 years, we had all the windows replaced.
Then the roof was done, that was,
Yeah, oh, that was early on, that's right after we first moved here.
it was a 20-year roof, and we've got about 25 or 30 out of it.
Yeah.
So, but the fellow was from here in town, he was,
A reputable builder, really
and he
good.
was also a fireman, of which I was, and he was real good. He
Yeah.
kind of, it hurt him, I mean, he bid it too cheap, because when he started tearing into things, he found that oak. Things didn't nail together as well, and,
Yeah.
but anyways,
Yeah,
but he's
he was-
also the one that did the windows, and you can go around to any of the windows, and they all go up and down still good, and they're 20, 25 years old. Cause it was what, 85 so when we put them in?
I don't know, Dave, I can't
But
remember.
anyways, but I had plans to do, the roof was gonna be next, and then the siding and the soffit and all that, and then we both got broke down. And that's kinda put the kibosh to us.
And what was weird with the windows, the last side we put on, I think was this side, the east side. And we had just gotten it done, and the neighbor that's not across, well, he's across the street and then facing the next street, there was a fire. In fact, I'm the one that saw it. Because it was in their backyard, and they've got a propane tank there, big, huge propane tank there. And here this fire is just raging. And I told Davis to get out there, there's something not right here, and we saw it, and we go, oh my God. So the fire department just swarmed when they were called. And they evacuated this part of town, because if that propane tank went up, you know, they didn't want us all going up with it.
It was
And I
1,000
thought-
gallon.
God, we just get the windows all done, and now this propane tank is gonna blow our house to bits.
Doesn't that just figure?
Just my luck.
Well, it wouldn't have blown the house down, but it probably would've
It
broke
knocked
some
the windows
windows out.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, it didn't happen, so we still have our windows. Oh my. So, anything else you guys wanna know about? I can't think of any, I'm doing good to
This
think of
is
all these
great.
days.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
Sweet.
so,
And because of her, I was being a typical New Englander. I mean, a far trip was to go across town. To go
oh,
visit
yeah, my
somebody.
joke about New Englanders is, Southern New Englanders go across the street, Southern New Englanders go up to Northern New England to vacation, Northern New Englanders go across the street to vacation.
It's about
They
the way
don't
it
go
is.
anywhere.
They don't want
It's-
They
no,
don't go.
nobody goes.
And those down Mainers are really lead bottoms. Holy cow. They don't go anywhere.
I mean, they are
I got them out
definitely.
going.
When they say old Yankees, that's what you're talking about, because if the sun was up and they thought it was dark, it was still dark.
And
Because that's
I
how they
actually
work.
had, when we moved out there, I actually had people, and they were asking this in all honesty, they weren't joking or anything else, asked me if we still had Indians out here, and did we still have,
Serious.
did we have paved roads?
Hmm.
Because anything beyond their little corner up there is wilderness to them, and the great wild, and they just don't get it. And those Boston people, holy cow, there's no place like Boston. Click your heels together 3 times when you're there. Boston?
Like Texans, I guess.
Yeah,
Texas.
They're an old
yeah,
or something.
those Texans love their Texas.
Well, you still have a little bit of your accent for being here for so
What?
long.
Where you keep the hats and the band, the can, the garage.
Yeah.
I can bring it back once again.
And he sounds like us when we go out there, because he's lost so much
He
out
loves it.
here. Yeah, so, but,
People look at me and my brother and they says, "We know you're his brother, but you don't sound like him."
Yeah, that's true, but boy, Paul isn't an emitter. Whew.
Yeah, but he does travel.
Oh, and when I first moved out there, you talk funny. They'd tell me, no, you talk funny.
No.
It's a whole different, I mean, you gotta really listen. I mean, when I first went to service, I had to listen close, because this is English, isn't it? It's just that I wasn't talking it.
Well, there's a guy that was working in a barber shop that Dave went to in Collinsville. He was just from Rhode Island, had the accent so bad. And at one point, he was on the phone and he couldn't get the person on the other end to understand what he wanted or needed. And I said, we can translate that. We know that. Well, he was wanting a certain pattern of carpet. Well, a certain pattern of this carpet. You know, so, and the people on the other end didn't get it at all. You know, I had to listen and just, I didn't ask when I first moved out there, but man, there are times I had to listen a long time to figure out what the heck are they talking about when they use this word. So, yeah, Pat was with me for a long time.
And for about the first year, she was lost.
Yeah, because all the roads out there, and there's a gazillion of them you can pick from to go to point A from to point B, and they all wind around, nothing tees in at a 90-degree
No
angle.
grids.
And whoa, you know, winding around, going around and
Well, it's
taking every
a
road.
why, I mean, like she says, nothing comes in this way.
There's
Everything's,
no rhyme to reason to it. And it's just
We used-
crazy.
we
And every
used-
time somebody takes me to the store, they go a different way. If they just go the same way 3 times, I could figure it out. But, you know, like, don't do this. But they just take off and, oh, God, here we go again. And so I couldn't find anything out there when we lived out there. Well, I eventually did. But then when we moved here, Dave would get lost because it's flat and everything looked alike. I sent him to the grocery store down at the other end of the street. He ended up out in the country, almost to Route 4, because he wasn't on the right street. And he got lost. You know, so, yeah, it's just what you're used to.
put me in the woods and I was fine, but I got out here where everything was, you know, all the houses to me looked the same. I was looking for the big oak tree, and I couldn't find it. You know, that blew down 10 years ago. And
Why? So,
Your camera.
Yeah, we'll get a picture of these two before they move. Or you could from over there. Take a picture of the peanut gallery here too.
yeah, I'll have to get my camera out too. I want pictures there already.
This is neat. Let's see here. What am I sitting on?
which one do you want, the little blue one or you want the big one?
Irene can send it to you.
What? I didn't hear Dad. I was dreaming.
Oh,
I was off the screen.
tree flashes, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Let me try one from this angle here, see what we have.
My mouth is getting so dry.
We've been extemporaneously talking here. Okay, big smiles. Looks pretty good. Is it going? Did we get it? We got it.
All right.
Can we take one of them, I guess?
Sure. Grab my camera.
Stay where you are,
Which one do you
let
want?
me get one of the various angles here.
I'd rather have.
Hey, dude.
I'll get, where's the big one
the
at?
big one, yeah, and it's in the case down on the floor. Excuse me, John.
Good.
Back up a little, give you some
Yeah,
space.
we'll get one of,
Look up,
Spray game.
act like you're interested in us.
just pretend. Now, I'm gonna lighten this up just a little. We have everybody but me and Sue's.
Oh,
So we
okay,
can
I was
play
gonna say.
Work? Cool. We can email these to
Okay.
you if you want.
A cousin's picture?
Yeah.
Cause it's not.
Yeah, give me this. Whoa,
I'm coming.
up a little tax.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'll send it to that camera.
It's fine.
Yeah, sit down there.
Yeah, I don't even have to, just
Yeah.
go like.
Is it high chair easier or low